welcome to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to install Snort 3.0 on Ubuntu 20.04 version. So for us to start, let's first check what's the current Snort version we have got in this Ubuntu. apt show Snort. Let's see, the current version we have got is 2.97. So the one that we have got is 3.0. So I'm going to use the 3.0 to install this one. So before we go there, let's check or let's do some other checking, like to make sure the system is completely updated. But you can always do that with sudo apt update. It's going to ask you the password, right? Similarly, you will do upgrade as well, right? So we'll do both to make sure that we have got the right, and then we'll do upgrade. Right, there's no file, so it's all good. Fantastic. Let's now go start the sudo Snort installation. For us to start the Snort, there's a lot of dependency packages are available, so we have to install those dependency packages before we install the Snort. At the same time, remember there are a lot of commands. I'm going to use a lot of commands to install this through the command line, which is one of the key factor in Unix Linux operating system. You need to know the commands very well. So I have got in my blog site, I have got the frequently used commands here, a couple of frequently used commands, so you can have a look at these commands and have a look and understand what these commands are. That should be ls, not is. So just make sure you go through these commands, and then I have just given the details of those commands with the screenshots, what happens if you use these commands and how to use these commands as well. So you can see that through my articles here. I have just used these articles, but again, I'll come back to Snort. The dependency packages are listed here again on my site, so I'm just going to copy that command. Let's copy, and you will realize when you run this command, this has got a capital S. A Linux or Unix system is case sensitive, so capital and small letters has different meanings, so this sudo is not going to work. So I need to definitely change this to simple letter, right? Maybe we can try that. What happens? Let's see. If I go clear the screen and let me copy this command and see what happens. Enter. There you go. It didn't pick the command sudo. It's because it's a capital S. So let me use this with small letter. So I'm going to go back to home. Hit enter. Right, there you go. It's going to ask you whether you want to install. Click yes. So it's trying to download the packages and it's going to install. So let's wait for that to complete. Right, this is going to take time to install. So let me pause the video and then we will continue from there. Right, now you can see the files have been downloaded and installed. So what I'm going to do is just thought of like to show you guys. Remember, like the command that I used here before was a sudo command, and then I used the mouse to go up and down, like for the first line and the last line. So if you wanted to move to the first line, you can use Control plus A, right? Sorry. So if you get a Control A, that goes to the first line. Control E, that goes to the last line. I could have used that command to just remove the capital letter to small letter. So, but I just used the command, right? So I just wanted to show you guys, you don't need to always use the arrow on the keyboard to go all the way to the first line or the starting line, right? So now, since this is all installed, what I'm going to do is, right. So since the file's been downloaded, what I'm going to do is, these are all the dependency files, right? So now what we have to do is we have to download the Snort file. For us to download and install the Snort, I'm going to create a folder, mkdir, make a directory called snort snort source file, right? So you can just give a name, right? It could be any name, right? You can just give a name and then change to that directory, Snort file, right? Now I have to download the Snort source file. The Snort source file is available in GitHub. So you can see It's available in the GitHub command here. So what you can do is you can download the file from GitHub using the command git clone. This command will help you to download the file. So let's go and paste this command and hit enter. So now the file is being downloaded. How do you know the file is downloaded? You can just do ls and you can check here under ls there's a file, right? We can see the file has got downloaded to the system, right? If in case if you are not too sure about whether the file is being downloaded or not, you can just go back through the GUI and you can find it, right? Okay, so now since the file is downloaded, I'm going to move to the directory, the downloaded directory, right? And if you see again here, there's an executable file, right? So we have the bootstrap executable file. So that the green one is what called the executable file, the script file. So I'm going to run the script file. So how do you run the script file? Is // and then put the file name and hit enter. Right, now the boot file is, or the script file is running. So once the script file is done, or it's completed, so it's completed now, right? Now I'm going to start the configuration. So to do that, /config gure configure, right? Done. So it's now configuring. So once the configuration is done, we have to make it, right? The next part is to make, right? So let's get make, right? It's making the file, and then we are going to install whatever the made file. So that's, we are just creating an executable, sort of like here for a Debian file that to install. So we are just creating from source file, we are creating a file to be able to install. So the command to install is sudo make install. So whatever the file that we just made, go and install. Right, now that is done. So since Snort is installed, I've just given the command cd dot to go back to the main directory where we downloaded the Snort file, and from here I'm going to download the Google thread caching file. So this is sort of like for the performance, right, for your Snort performance. So I have that option as well. So all these steps are listed here. So this is the file that I'm going to download. So just copy the wget command, right? So wget is again another command to download the file. So let's wget and paste that, right? So it's just downloaded the file. So you can see the file has been downloaded and it's saved under folder called snort source file. If not too sure, you can always give the command ls. So you can see the file here is downloaded. It's a gz file, it's a tar file. So right, so if that's a tar file, we have to extract that. To extract that, the command we can use exatf or xzf, right? The file name, right? So now this will put into a folder called, let's see, it will go into the folder with the same file name, right? Now let's move to that folder, right? So we are in the folder and then run configure, right? So it's just configuring the file. Similarly, we have to run the same command make, and then we have to make install, right? So I'm going to run the command make, right? It's just making the file. After it make the file, I'm going to run the command again, makes sudo make install, right? Whatever the file that we just created from the source code, we are going to install that, right? So it's like a program to run, compile and run, right? So let's wait for that to complete. So now it's done. We have done the make command, right? We just run the make command, right? We'll confirm that it was make command, right? Now what I'm going to do is sudo make install, right? All right. So with that, we have done all the prerequisites is to install Snort 3. The next task is to go and download the Snort file, and then I'm going to install it. So let's go back one step back again. To download the Snort, again, we have the Snort here. This is the file URL, the Snort in GitHub. the whole command is given here again. So what you can do is just copy that command, go back to your terminal, right? Make sure you minimize this so that you can clearly see, paste, hit enter. Right, it's downloading the Snort file. Once it's done, we will move to Snort folder. This is Snort 3, right? So once it's all done, it's still downloading. Right, so most of my commands I've just kept it here, so I've just documented here. So I'm just going to copy the commands from here, so that's easy. I can avoid spelling mistakes. I'm just going to copy the command which we need later on. So since the file is downloaded, I'm going to move to Snort folder. Right, I'm in Snort path. Let's run this command, configure Snort into the local user as in the file, right? So enter. Right, now we're going to go, there should be a folder for build. So we will move to the folder for build, right? So this is where we have the file, right? Now I'm going to, again, same thing, I'm going to make, since this is from the source file, it's going to make. Remember, this will take time, so you need to be patient. You need to wait here till this process completes. So I've just put that information as well. So you see here, it says this will take time to complete. So be patient. So you have to wait here. All right, now the make process is completed, right? So we're gonna install this. So let's do sudo make install, right? So that's install, right? So once this is done, we are almost pretty much done, completed, but we need to make sure go and update the library file. So to do that one, I'm going to do a command sudo id config. Right. So ld config, so library database configured, all done. Now, technically we have installed Snort version 3. That doesn't mean we have configured the Snort. For us to confirm, let's use a command snort -v to confirm the version. So the version we have got is Snort 1.1, 3.1. So pretty much we have got the latest version ready, right? Let's go and start the Snort configuration. For us to start the Snort configuration, right, we need to make sure, see, Snort is sort of an intrusion detection system, so I have to make sure the network interface card should be in the listening mode so that it can listen the packet or it can sniff the packet, right? To do that, we need to use the command, or we have to change the network interface card into the listening mode. For that, we need to confirm what's the Snort network interface card name here, right? It's not something like on a Windows computer to go and find local area 1, local area 2, right? So let's first check the network area or network interface card. So IP address show. So if you type the command, the network interface card that I'm using here, it's ENS33, right? So we are using ENS33 as the adapter. So I'm going to put the ENS33 into promiscuous mode, right? It's called promiscuous mode. Right. So the command sudo was missing. So let's put the command sudo. Yep, done. So with the command sudo, it worked. So we can confirm now the mode is in promiscuous mode, right? But for us to confirm, let's do the same command, IP address show ENS33, right? So I'm just going to monitor the mode. You can see here, this is in promiscuous mode, right? So you can confirm that the interface is now changed to promiscuous mode. Right, so let's do some more configuration to disable the interface offloading, so that can prevent Snort from turn capturing a large files, right? So we don't want to capture anything bigger than MTU size, MTU, which is 1518 bytes. So what we can do is we can just make sure to control that. So to do that, we need a command called ether tool, right? ETH tool -k, right? Ether tool ENS33. I'm going to go and check that. Grab receive offload. Receive off. All right. So here we go. We don't have ether tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download the ether tool and install it. Copy, paste. Right, it's installing the ether tool. Right, then I'm going to run the same command again. Copy the command. Right, so receive offload on, generate large files off. Right. Oh, there you go. Oh, right. So that's the problem. Right. And now let's run some commands, right? So we're going to open up a new file in a vim editor. For that, we need to make sure that we have to have vim. So hopefully we have got vim. Yep, cool. We got the vim editor here. So let's quit. Step 2. Right, so vim editor is there. So I have the command here. I'm just going to go grab the command from my document. The command that I'm using here is system snort service, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some lines here, right? See, these are the lines I'm going to add here. Let me copy the lines into newly created file. Right, so there's nothing much to change. It's all like default. And now you have to save this. How do you save these files in Linux? The command to save is escape wq. Right. So now the file is being saved. Right. So once the file is saved, I'm going to restart the service. Right. So it's the best thing to make sure always once you do changes in the configuration file, just restart it. So let me restart that. So I'll keep the document on the other side so that I don't need to go back and forth. So let's restart. It's going to ask you the password. Enter the password. Right, done. Right. Reload. Now I'm going to restart the Snort services. Again, you need to enter the password. Right. Enter. Right. All good. So that's all done, right? Now you can see I'm going to continue to install the Snort rule sets. So this is where we're going to create the rules to monitor the packets and then alert you, right? If you get any traffic based on that rule, then you can just alert, right? So we can create the rules file. So I have got all the commands here to create the root files, right? So create the Snort rules directory first, and then we're going to put the files inside the directory file, right? Okay, let me do that easily. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy these commands, so that's easy, right? So in the user local etc snort file, where I'm going to create the role files, right? Okay, let's do that as the next task, right? So your next task is to first create the roles folder, and then we will move on to the next part. Right. So let's make a folder called mkdir, make a folder, right? Where do you want to make the folder? User local, right? etc, and then let's say rules. Permission denied. It's because we are not using with the sudo command. So let's use sudo. Right, the folder is being created. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to download the community rule files from the path here, right? So this is where we have got the standard rule files. So you don't need to always download or create everything from the scratch. Hopefully that URL is working. Let's try that URL has got access to. Yeah, you can see it's downloading the file, so it got access to the path. Cool. Right, so that's what it says, download and all done, right? So since it's a tar file, tar files, I have to unzip it. So the command here to unzip is the tar file command is here. So I'm just going to copy the tar file command to unzip it. Right, the file's been done. If you want, you can just do ls to the specific path rule files, right? This is where we download the file. So do an ls to go back to the path, right? Rule file path. Paste. Right, if you look at it, you can see the files here, rule files. Right, these are the files. It just shows here the files which you see inside the Snort. Now what we can do is we can modify the files here, so that when you modify it, then we have to specify, by default there would be different IP range, so you have to make sure that you have to modify the rule files based on your IP network so that you can monitor. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go to this path here under Snort, right? And I'm going to define, right? We're going to just define the network configuration, right? So let's do, right? Keep in mind, I have got Vim. If you don't have Vim, you need to install the Vim, right? So I'm in the path, right? So what we have to do is see here, the home net, by default it says any. So on my network, I can just change it to my home network address, right? So you can just change it, right? So to do changes or to edit, you have to hit I, and you can see it's in insert mode, right? So I'm in the directory there. I'm going to just specify the IP address that we are going to use on this network, right? So in my computer, I need to first find the IP address here. Let's find the IP address. So 192.168.0.29. So let's go and change the IP here. So it's going to 192.168.0.29/32 because this is your address, right? So /32 means this is the only address, right? And external, you can leave it as any, right? Because there's no problem. So which means I can monitor any network, right? And we will make this external network, and we will say external network not home directory, home network. Okay, so that means I'm not monitoring the home network, right? So you know the concept, you know the commands, right? This is how you write the commands here, right? What else we have to change? Under the IPAS section, then we can define some other changes as well. So let's, with that, I'm just going to save this one. So let me save this one, right? So you can see the change has been done here. Now we are going to edit the other file here, right? So to do that, wow. So in this file, we're going to edit more careful config, right? What I'm going to do is insert. Here, I'm going to add these lines, the copied lines. Right. So this is where we have, remember, this is where we download the files and we have the files. So that's all done here. So there's, right, the files is now done. So we have updated the rule files, and everything is so far done. So in the next one, what I'm going to do is we're going to just make sure create directories. So let me go copy that. Yep, sudo is missing, right? And then syntax checking. So all right, looks like there's one error. Home directory, that command, it says error. Remember the one that we created from this part, right? So let me go back to the Snort file and see what was the error in the home directory. External and I can see home net on the top. Yep. Okay, the dollar sign is missing. So let me put the dollar sign here because this is the path. So you have to put the dollar sign for the absolute path of that. Yep, success. So successfully it's done. So we can see now my Snort service is running or with no error messages at all. So what's the next part is I'm going to just create the rules for us to monitor. So let's go copy the command. This is where I'm going to create the rule. So I have created a rule for ping test, right? I'm going to just copy that, but I'm sure that I can explain to you guys once I copy this command. So I'm going to say alert for ICMP from anywhere. If you get a message to my home network, just send a message say ICMP connection is detected. This is your ID and this is your revision number. So you can keep on writing for similar one for telnet and different services, right? So you can definitely do that, right? So create the rule and then save and exit the file. So I'm just doing it first for all right, let me see what's the problem. Alert WQ for can't open file for writing. Okay, could be, you know, the reason is because I may sorry, maybe we didn't come on, we didn't have permission. So I'm going to choose the sudo command, right, and I'm going to paste it, and we are going to write and quit, right? So the command is done. Now this is where we run the command. Copy that. Let's go check the syntax to see whether we have just written everything good. Yep, it's not successfully validated, no errors. Next, I'm going to test one more time with just the command for perfect. So, yep, perfect. Right, now what we do, we will test whether my Snort is working or not. What we can do is we need another virtual machine for us to ping and do the testing, right? Okay, here we go. The operation not permitted. Could be it's because we need the sudo. Yep, it's running. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn on one of these machines. Power on. And I'm going to ping from here to my Ubuntu server. So let's confirm the IP address here. So the IP address here is 192.168.0.29. Let's go and ping from here. So the machine is logging in. Right. So let's check. So I could get the IP now. Yep. Let's go and ping 0.168.0.29 T. So I'm doing a continuous ping. Let's come back. You can see I'm just detecting the ping, right? So that's all about how you do ICMP detection. So if I stop here, let me go stop. That will stop here as well, right? So this is a simple ping detection using Snort. Of course, I skipped the part app ID just because there's a couple of issues that I have to fix it. So I'll fix that when I update here. So skip the open app ID part, but the rest of the things should work here perfectly. Well, what you can do is after this, you can write your own rules to detect different types of traffics, right? So that's for your challenge, right? Of course, it was working for me before the app ID, so you can see when I was working here, it worked for me. So they have changed the app ID path, so I just need to fix that part, and then I can fix it. Right. That's all. Yep. Try your best to write your own rules for different traffics and see whether you can work.